Hello, hello. This is Lee Bowden of Loving Life with Lee. Hi, guys. It has been a minute since I've done a vlog, and to be honest, I've just been really busy. The kiddo is just really learning a lot. She is 21 months, so almost 2, but not quite 2. And we have been doing activities involving numbers and letters. She knows all of her colors. She's not only able to count up to like 5 things. She can count all the way up to 10 without recognition of like counting things as objects. But she is also starting to, because of our puzzles, recognize the actual symbols of the numbers, and numbers and letters kind of go together. So she's already trying to like pick up books and single out letters and stuff. So he just recently got her some cards. So her favorite things to do are cards, games, and sing-along stuff. She knows a whole bunch of songs. She's speaking in sentences. She's asking questions in full sentence format. So she's really entertaining, but she's also a huge handful. And honestly, I've just come a long way in my healing journey, and it's mostly what this vlog is about. In its form and in its reveal. I've learned a lot. I've gone through a lot. I've done a lot to heal my inner self. The main practices for me in my day-to-day life have just been a bit of understanding this, like a lot more deeply understanding the cycles that go with the moon, learning a lot more about astrology, the in-depth, more adept astrology, and also learning more about the stars and cosmology. I've learned a lot about just the science and stuff behind that. And as you guys can tell in the blog and stuff, of course, I'm always learning more about the energy and emotions and thoughts. I think the difference to me this year, especially the last couple months, is really applying what I'm learning immediately to my life and taking it into meditation. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've been researching, esoteric study, Hermetics, alchemy, astrology, Kabbalah, it goes really deep. And then through along the lines of the psyche and psychology, along with the body-mind, comes some more understanding of, I've got some dreams and stuff coming back, and some more in tuneness with my subconscious going on, and my, what some would call a higher self persona, which is, I think, really just a lot of my own soul pieces have been kind of recollected, and I'm kind of putting the pieces back together of my own understanding of myself and my own kind of soul life and journey, and have some pretty crazy remembrances, some pretty crazy dreams and stuff that I've been really revealing. And of course, anytime you're studying the Kabbalah and symbols and all that stuff, it goes deep. It goes real deep, real quick. To a DNA level, to a psychology level, to a mentality level. And that's why I think I've written a couple posts on my blog recently about mentality and realizing the physical as an effect of the mental world that we all have. And I think those realizations to me have been very revealing in the fact that kind of once you know and you start to see yourself, there's not really any going back to like the smaller, lesser selves. They just don't do as good of a job. It's kind of hard to get big old, gnarly, awesome pieces of yourself back and be like, oh, I'm just gonna go back to that shitty lifestyle, like those shitty old habits. Like, no. There's been a lot of change this year, and a lot of really good change. Definitely out of the dark stuff and in kind of a neutral, safe, loving ground in my life right now, which feels really good. Feels really good. I've really realized that some of the, like, me feeling crazy is really just me getting information from the universe about what's going on, but instead of being afraid of it, I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm really willing to, like, understand it, and I'm realizing that I'm not the only one. The world really is kind of waking up, and I'm just super stoked to have been a part of that, and to have woken up to myself, realizing that my physical self, you know, comes from a higher place. My soul comes from a higher place. My mentality is a higher place than my physical representation in reality. So all of this combined, like, I've just been able to really expand my consciousness, as Aaron Dede would say, expand my consciousness. Yeah, that's definitely been happening. And so I've just learned a lot, and happy to be in the blog and doing that and sharing it with everybody. Yeah, basically just to check in and to say hi and stuff. Me and Bowden are doing pretty good. A lot of this has obviously trickled in and affected him in different ways as well. He's an individual person. I think that's part of it has been for us, is that's been important to me at least, is like the individualization of realizing the self, and the individualization of realizing the partnership within the individual expressions. And just really trying to do my best to apply the best parts of myself to my reality that I possibly can. And when things that come up that don't feel good and that I need to work through and heal from, I've gotten down some really good, unique ways that work for me to do that. And it's kind of a meditative state and process, but also a lot of just, as you can imagine, journaling. I'm a writer, I'm a scribe, like, that's what I do. So it's just been a lot of, like, understanding that I don't just write for the blog, I don't just write for myself, I don't just write for social media, like, there's a lot more to it than that. The information that I get, if it's kind of like your dreams, if you don't remember your dreams or you don't write them down and stuff, like, you will forget, and, like, it's that way with everything, especially as a person who translates my experience best through writing. Like, I can talk, I can hold a conversation just fine, but for a long time I've had to keep, kind of keep parts of myself in and from myself, let alone everybody else knowing, right? So now that I kind of am coming to full terms with, like, who I really am and what I'm really here to do, and all of everything that I have to offer myself and the world, it's just a lot easier. It's just very natural for me to write it down. I definitely am a scribe, and that's part of what I'm here to do, is write shit down. So I do a lot of just writing stuff down and taking notes, and that really helps me, and it also unlocks the patterns. So when information gets to me and it gets to a point where I'm starting to understand it and really evolve with the information that I'm learning, reading, feeling, sensing, however it comes to me. When I put it down, I can look at it later. And I'm really starting to understand. I went through a phase several months ago where I really started to understand numbers and time more than I should say time, space, or space-time, more than I ever have. Timing has always been something I'm terrible at. Like, I'm bad at time. Just bad at timing. Like, I always have the right thing to say at the wrong time, kind of thing. Like, I have a lot of intuitive business, but my timing on that deliverance has always been off. And part of this kind of journey this year has been kind of realizing my relationship with the numbers in the cosmos and how the cycles work. Everything from the moon to our rotating day-to-day clock, and, like, the root of the number. So anyway, it's just been working a lot with my reality in the higher realities as one, and kind of learning to navigate that balance between my higher purposes and selves with the current reality that's going on now and the current time that it is holding here. So that's kind of my struggle right now, is coming to terms with all the stuff that I've learned about myself, and, like, taking my own particular soul journey in all the realms, and also still living here in this physical reality, like, with my daughter and my hubby and my family and my mom, my sisters, and, like, my friends. So that's kind of the battle, right? Because life never stops. Everything is always in motion, even when it seems to suck and nothing's happening right. Like, no, everything is still in motion. Nothing stops. So that's kind of what's up. I think my direction really still is right now in doing those deeper studies, so that when I do my next step in this in a bigger way to help the collective and just everybody, that I'm working towards the more professional and career goals like I haven't really had before, But I realize it's going to probably take me some time and some years and some funding and all that stuff. So I think I really am right now sticking to the blog aspect of just self-discovery and self-healing, with the understanding of using energy and your emotions and thoughts to really change perception to a healing, lighter possibility for the world, which I think is becoming really apparent for a lot of people that things need to change. So I'm trying to get on that bandwagon of change and development in the right ways. So that's kind of my update, as I'm just going to keep plugging along and going, climbing higher and higher. And I'm hoping to take people with me on the self-healing journey and really start to work with people in a way of just being there and holding space for that healing and that possibility and that hope. That as individuals we can change. We have a lot of control only of ourselves and only of what we ourselves have control within ourselves. Everything else isn't up to us. And if we can't do it as individuals, then how can we expect the collective to do it? Because every individual is part of the collective, is part of the one, you know, that we all are a part of on this earth. Coming to terms with that is that you have to change if you think the world should change. And that's really what I've evolved with in this last year, is the fact that it's always been changing. It's always been developing. It's always been growing. But not always in the best ways. And we do it to ourselves. The proof is your own life. You don't always do what you're supposed to do. You don't always feel like what's right. And that's for a multitude of reasons. But the fact is that we can't blame anybody for being at fault here. It's part of the process. And Earth and the collective go through the same up and downs process as well. We are bound to make mistakes. Why do we make mistakes in history? So we can look back on this history. And we can apply that to our own inner world as well. Why make mistakes? Because in our own way we can come to understand the lessons behind those mistakes. That's it. As above, so below, as above. The higher is the lower is the higher. It's just a reflection of it, and time works differently in different ways, in different waves, I should say. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and a little bit more of like the direction of where I'm going in this understanding and stuff. So, appreciate you guys watching the channel. I appreciate you guys looking into becoming a Patreon. There's a huge database that I've built for self-healing. There's a spiritual database that I'm working on, and also a universal astrology and alchemy database. So all of these are really, really, really just unique collections of all of my research all in one place. The self-healing database is a huge source of information. It is personally what I use when I'm going through my own emotions and my own processes, and when I learn things, that's where I put it. And of course in the blog, it's just a way for me to like bring it all together and link things through and like deliver messages. But the self-healing database has it all in it. It's like the cheat. Like, you don't have to necessarily read the blog or read any of these stuffs. It's just a really helpful key for you to have into yourself, that allows the science and the spiritual to kind of meet together and try and understand the relationship there. That's kind of what the main point of the self-healing database is. And because of my interest in astrology and alchemy, that's why we have these spread outs of these different databases as well. So Patreon has that stuff for you as a benefit for supporting the blog. So even if you aren't interested in the databases, you can still support the blog for $3, and that would be super, super cool. And this channel, that's patreon.com. I'll leave the links below. And if you're interested in just checking out the blog, it's Loving Life with Lee. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.